Yes, we are. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you for accepting the invitation to come and join in with me tonight in the discussion.
Well,
So,
thank you for inviting me. It's been a minute since we had a chance
it
to join.
it has, it has. But like all good things, you know what? Opportunity always finds itself. And
It does. It
you know
does.
what? Make it happen. So,
Absolutely.
how have you been?
Good. Good. Life is good. I have to say, this week has been a very busy week. It's just been, and I don't want to use the word stressful because that would probably be overstating, but just between work and all the other appointments, it's I couldn't wait for last night to come because when I got home, I just,
Yeah,
as you know, because I talked to you last night,
because you crashed.
I crashed. I
Well,
crashed.
it's been that kind of a week. Like I've been dog sitting, as you know, and
Yeah,
it's he's a good little fella. Requires some work though, and
yeah,
when I say that, like he's got some behaviors that uh, still need working on in the
yeah.
potty training department. So that's what makes it challenging in that department. But yeah,
Right.
so doing that this week, and it's almost like having a freaking toddler. I have
Yeah.
to watch, and I realize this. I'm not at this time looking at getting another dog.
Right
This is
on.
a great experience, but
Yeah.
I don't want the responsibility because
No,
it
it does restrict your freedom for sure.
restricts my freedom, and my life right now is a little bit more on the move as opposed to being
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. No.
so this is kind of like an impromptu live. I
Hmm.
decided that I was going to go live this morning,
Right.
and you know, decided that I would do like a check in, and via the topic, um, how are you handling all the division that is going on? And I thought that that's something that we could talk about because you know, there is a lot of changes going on,
Mm.
and a lot of those changes are feeling very much like they're out of our control, and it is
Right.
creating a feeling. And
Yeah.
I think that we're all dealing with it in a different way.
Yeah.
So, and I think that it's important to have a conversation because, conversations like this, you get to get it out. You get
Right.
to, what, maybe even have a chance to center yourself up and
Yeah.
realize also that you're not the only one that might be feeling a certain kind of way. And
Yeah.
really through tonight's discussion, we might even come up with some uh, tips in how to
Yeah.
navigating the process of what's going on and keeping your sanity
Yeah.
and so
But
I just want to say that I have with me tonight my sister Susan, and she is Real Freedom Forever, who is hailing from Windsor, Ontario this evening. And as you all know, who all those who follow me know that I lived in Windsor for a number of years. So Windsor is like my second home and was very good to me. And I'm always um, anxious to know like what's going on in the climate up there and how our folk doing because and what changes are taking place. So I thought what a great opportunity to have you on and talk and welcome. Hello, 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 Nova. Hello, Todd. And I see we have, I don't know who else we had in the chat, but anyways, I want to say hello and welcome. I don't know whether you caught the intro, but we're having a discussion on how everyone's doing. with
Mm,
all of the changes that are going down. And, whether you are affected by those changes right now or you are not affected by those changes. But for sure, you know this, that somewhere around you, someone is being affected by the changes. And whether, it's your neighboring border country, um, or what's happening right here in Canada, because we are hailing from Canada, and I don't know where everybody's hailing from, but it'll be just interesting because it's happening everywhere. There's not no escaping um, all these great changes. So, welcome, Susie.
hi. Thanks for having me. It's funny because when you talk about what's happening, I can only speak for my area and Windsor in particular. And for me, and maybe it's because I'm aware of the environment, and I'm not just talking the physical environment, but I'm talking also spiritually wise and all of that, or from a point of awakening. But what I do see a change is I see a changing of the guard. And and one of the things I mean by that is I see a change even in the environment I work in. Like, and you know what environment I work in.
You work
And
in medical field.
right, right. But I'm telling you, it's like, and I hate to say this out loud, but it's it's in a bad way. It is in a very bad way in the sense of well, we had a family member that was in the hospital, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
of pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think, even though I maybe wouldn't have agreed with her decision, but she got out. And just as well, because everybody that I know have that has went in has gone in for any type of reasoning for that, like either be pneumonia, breathing conditions, or whatever. They don't
Right.
come out. And it's
Right.
so freaking weird. Like, I don't know if it's, oh, I'm not going to get into the technicals of it all,
More
but
on the administrative side of the
yeah,
medical field. And
yeah,
so I
that's
want to
right.
know, like, because you work with a lot of different doctors and you work with the
Mhm.
hospital. And
Yeah.
how are you noticing from your position that you work from? How are you noticing the decline, or you would say, like, when you talk about the changing of the guard, or
Yeah.
how are the massive changes that you saw? Let's just even say in the past 4 to 5 years.
Wow. Well, that's easily stated. I can tell you this. The hospital is connected to the government. They depend on each other, and it's all about money at the end of the day, okay? So they have taken the human kindness out of treating patients. So you're more or less a money train. And when you are no longer, and I'm just speaking truth here, and when you are no longer able to make money, and I'm talking as a patient for either the doctor or the facility, then you become a drain. So patient care is just gone out the window. And I'll say that, and I know I'm not the only one that says that because I hear it.
And you, in particular, work in the area of nephrology. So,
Yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of that area, that's a specialty area.
yeah.
And have you noticed that um, are people waiting longer, or
Well, there's not a large weight in
no?
that department because I mean it's like kidney. How long could you wait? If you, I mean maybe to get a transplant, but not for kidney care, not at all. The wait
No.
is minimal
Okay.
because you know you just if you need dialysis, they can't wait for that. They automatically, either you come in through the front door, you come in on a stretcher, but either way you're going to get treated, right? So
I
and
know that one of the things that I often noticed when I was working in the field, and I too also dealt with a certain amount of the administrative side of things when you're having to
right,
deal patients and
Right.
but my point being is that even back in the during the time that I was working in that system, which would have been probably about 2017, 2018. So that's going back how many years now?
Yeah.
My point being is that there was a decline then, and I
Yes.
find
Yeah.
people because there was a shortage of doctors was coming on
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
that
Well,
time.
that is still.
We were a specialist office.
Mm,
However, the patient would come and try to get the specialist to take care of most of their needs because of the
everything.
lack.
Yes.
So I'm sure that you're probably noticing that too,
Oh, big time, big time. Like, you know what? Because we strictly treat kidney care. Okay, so that's
right?
like making sure your kidney function is on point and that it's not declining. But I see countless times that they'll, and he does do a little bit of diabetes treatment, but that's not his specialty. But I'll tell you, they'll come in and want him to treat everything, and
Right?
that doesn't. And I said, well, he's not your family doctor, you know.
No, that's right. Well,
But
and there's also, well, they have guidelines that they have to also follow.
right,
Which
right,
it's
right.
it's not as easy as, but most
No,
patients aren't aware of how the system truly works. Hello,
right.
Oscar. Hello. Thanks for chiming in with us this
Mhm.
evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So,
Yeah.
how would you say, first of all, how would you say folk are handling the changes? And I'm just talking about from your observation of being
Yeah.
out and about and when you're in the grocery store and you hear different
Mhm.
what is your observation on how do you think folk are handling all these different changes and the uncertainty that we are underneath right now?
Well, if you're a part of the small few, or I'll say that the chosen few who don't really worry about financial, you know, stability, then they go through life like they'll make the odd comment because I see it. They'll make the odd comment, oh, things are getting high. But to someone like you or myself, or someone that has a family or has others dependent on them, they're in fear. Like because I see it. They're like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to pay my rent next week. So and they're living in an either or. Either I buy this or I pay for this or I have to. So I see a lot of that. I see a lot of disconnection because a lot of people, and I say that because I shared with you an experience of someone that I you know had lunch with, and the disconnection is, look, if it don't affect me, I don't want, because I think a lot of people are overwhelmed, and yeah, and I think there's a human disconnection. I see that because it's about, as long as I can get through to the next day, or through the next, through this struggle. I can't worry. I just don't have the ability to worry about everybody else. And I understand that. I understand that because if you are dealing or coming from a stressful place, it
Mhm,
is hard to
mhm.
think about, you know.
Okay, so how do you handle all the changes and that are going on around us and how do you personally handle or navigate what's going on, and what do you do to uh, find your center and
Right.
find your grounding, and with all the
With all
amount
the
of
changes and
information
all
that's
that.
out there, and
Yeah.
being able to.
Well, here, one of the things that I can tell you is this: I'm as affected as everybody else, but these are the things I don't do. I don't live my life in fear. I don't live my life in fear, and I think that's a lot to do with because I realize that the time we're living in, and I also don't build my life on what's happening in this matrix either. Like
Mhm.
I'm not connected to the matrix, so I'm not interested in making a whole lot of money or living in this big abundance or whatever, because I know everything I need, the universe is always going to provide it. And you say, how do I ground? Right now, I'm at the park. Every chance I get, I come to the park. And that is my grounding, connecting with nature. And I know a lot of people, because I hear it, well, nature's not going to feed you, but nature does feed you. It does feed you. Because if you have peace of mind and you are not living in fear, and you realize that you are always going to be provided for, that's half the battle. And that's the point where we all have to get to. We have to pull out of this being dependent on something on the outside. We have to go inward. And I keep saying that going inward is the most important thing, and doing the work. And there was another point that there was another question you asked me, because another point I wanted to make was basically, and I don't stay connected to the TV, because how many people say to me, "Oh, did you see this? Did you see that?" And it's always connected from some news or whatever, or even some form of social media.
Mhm.
And I'm on social media, but I am very selective on what I listen to on social media as well, and
I think
nothing on TV.
I think that that's hugely important is watching what you take in because
Mm,
is a plethora of information and oh my goodness, you don't let them find your algorithm. Don't let them
right.
find what it is that you're interested in. And I'll tell you, boy, oh boy, ooh,
Yeah.
or you could be flooded. So, yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely have to watch what you're taking in because
Mhm.
even though it's true, you don't want to be bombarded with the same stuff over and over
Right.
and over.
Right.
Because you've got people out there, you know what? Um, um, Video after video of the same topic.
Yes. Yeah.
Topic. It's like it's no different to me than listening to the news. I, I
Right.
I know it once. I don't need
Yeah.
to keep listening to it. Now I know that. Well, I know why they do that. They do that for views and that. But
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah.
when you know what you know, and what do I mean by that? That this is we're living in a game. This is a game that
Mm,
we've been programmed to play, and
mhm.
um, viewing when you become a viewer
Yeah.
and not a performer
Right.
or an actor, you
Mm,
do viewing, step back. That removes you from the whole damn movie and allows you to look at the movie from a way more objective standpoint. You're not
right.
from a, your emotions are not getting all involved, and you're not coming from an emotional standpoint um,
Yeah.
when making decisions and go Trump. Well, I don't know what you mean when you say go Trump, but I hate to tell you, it's whether it's Trump or whoever, it's
Mm,
it's bigger. It's
mm,
bigger. They are players.
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
chessboard.
I think people that are saying things like that, whether it's government related or it's um, religiously related, I think it has a lot to do with the the bots coming in to try and disrupt. Because if you ever notice, if you talk about a conversation that is enlightening or that it's used to upbuild, you know, or to make people aware or to open people's minds, that's when you'll get comments such as that. So yeah, if you're a Trump supporter, then I say go ahead. But be
I
it
just
Trump,
had to ask. Down syndrome Jesus. What a
that's
name. That's quite a name. Listen, I gotta give you your
there
props. And I need to ask, what is a yapologist?
must be
Certified
someone who likes to talk
yapologist.
a lot, a certified, not just a yapologist, but a certified yapologist. Yep.
Listen, I had to just stop the conversation because I said, "What? Down
I
syndrome.
know, I saw it, and I was just ignoring it because you know, it,
What?
you know,
I think,
I
yeah,
say,
apologist. Okay, yappy yappy.
mhm,
Well,
I say thank you for tuning in.
yes, thank you for tuning in.
Everybody's welcome.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
But no, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, in spite of everything that's going on, there is always an upside. Because and because you can either choose to feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Overwhelmed or overburdened, and all of these are true. But
Hmm.
you realize that you can also flip it around and see the upside of things. You know what I mean? Look, just if you look around and you get to count your blessings. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not saying that I don't worry about. Sorry, I keep looking because there's a car that keeps getting close, but I'm not saying that I don't sometimes tap into, okay, what does the tomorrow hold for me? Because nobody is guaranteed tomorrow. Nobody is guaranteed anything. It's just the now. It's just the now we're guaranteed.
And that's not to say that you're walking around like um, in a
Pollyanna?
in a state of cognitive dissonance. You know,
Right.
happening, it's happening, but I don't see it. It's it's
Mm,
it's,
mm-mm.
it's not that. It's not that way. It's about what is your reality, because of
Right.
everything that is happening, because there's so much that's happening, but what is your reality? And I think
Right.
that's where it's real
Right.
important to center.
Absolutely.
And you might
Yeah.
have to do that more often, because I found myself having to center myself.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm all out and about, but just via the very internet, and having to be
Mhm.
really cognizant of what it is that I am taking in at this particular
Yeah.
time. And um, because it is also the instrument that I think is also being used to promote
Yeah.
narrative. And
Yeah. Yeah.
most folk,
Absolutely.
I don't think a lot of folk are fact checking.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's uh, a real huge need to use your discernment to
Right.
what it is
Right.
you are hearing and listening to, and I mean
And a
every
lot of us don't want to do that.
with the
We want to
phone.
be spoon fed. We just want to be
Well,
spoon
that's
fed.
the thing. That's the thing,
No.
and know this, that there are many narratives out there. That's where I
Mhm.
say, you know what, you have to use your discernment, and there are
Yeah.
some truths, and there are
Yeah.
many people have many ideas. Um, on what they think is the problem, or how they think that we should deal with the problem. Once
Mhm.
again, use your discernment. That's what
Right.
you said, what going
Right.
inward and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
is so very, very critical and necessary at this particular point in
Yeah.
time. And
And if you listen to your discernment, truly listen to your discernment, you'll know when to just sit still and not do anything or when to act. Because I'm going to say this, whether you believe that there's a higher power out there than you, or whether you do or you don't, but innately we know that, this doesn't feel right. I'm going to move on. Or, nah, something's telling me to just stay right here and don't move. And I'm going to use this example because all the time I kept getting this feeling that I wanted, because I knew I had to upgrade my car. I knew I was going to be working longer and that, and I kept. But every time I went to do that, to update or upgrade my car, it just wasn't right. It wasn't right, and I get to the point where I would see everything in front of me, and I'd say, "No, something is telling me to pull back. Don't let it go. Let it go." But this at the very end, my last encounter about when I attempted to not attempted, but when I decided, yeah, I got to upgrade my everything just fell into place. Everything, and I was very uh, meticulous about what I wanted, the payment, how long I wanted to pay, because I certainly wasn't going into another 7-year payment, none of those things. And but I knew I wanted a newer car, and I knew it. I wanted a car that lasted me long after I retired, and everything. And spirit just said, "You tell me what you want, and then I'll." And it did, and I swear to you. And it's so funny because when the person finally found the car that I was looking for, and she sent me a picture, and what she was sending me was just tell me how many miles was on it, which wasn't a whole lot. But what I noticed was on the clock, it said 11:11,
Wow.
11:11. And then I knew, I said, that's the universe's confirmation saying that is it. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, she didn't realize that, but I knew. And then from that point, everything just fell into place. And I'll tell you,
And that brings me to a point too that, it does not matter what is going on.
mm,
You are aware and you have the knowing that, what, first of all, the universe has your back.
yes,
Spirit has your back. So it
yes,
doesn't matter. And I'll give you an example, what I mean. Because I too had a moment of where I could have allowed fear to creep in and prevent me from moving forward or continuing to live in my now.
yeah,
And what do I mean by that? Is folk know that I've been watching my channel in YouTube or wherever right now. You know that we have been battling wildfires out here.
yeah, yeah,
And they've been going since, what, the beginning of summer, in the uh, woods or the forest have been shut down in the sense that nobody was
yeah,
in. And that was also including those that own woodlots that
right,
go in and cut for those of us that burn wood. As
right.
I am one of the people that burn wood. So during that whole period in time, and especially when into September and in October, if you know anything about Nova Scotia, there's also the weather can change up. So
Mm,
there were all these concerns that if I'd focused on them, it would have not. Um, it would have. It wouldn't have allowed me to remain centered. I
mm,
chose the knowing that the universe has this, no matter what's going on. To make a long story short, I was able to speak with my wood guy, the guy that I
yeah.
do get my wood from, and he will be delivering my wood. So, but
Oh,
then
go
I have
ahead.
concern on whether or not, what, hey, everything was up in the air. And I
Mm,
was not one of those people that was fortunate enough to have enough wood ahead, because a lot of
right,
people they do have wood in that ahead. But,
right.
I'm not one of those people. Um,
Michael James Hilda wants to know what in the F are you fellers talking about?
What in the uh, well, Michael James, considering the fact that, what, here's the deal. You're the guy that came into the conversation later in the game, and as you can see via the title, saying, "What? How are you dealing with the Great Divide?" Well, there's a lot. We were just talking about everything that's going on in the planet. Maybe your area. I don't know where you're scooting in from, but remember, you did scoot into this conversation is we were like halfway through it. Okay. So I'm not going to go back, listen to the playback, or just leave the chat. And you know what? Come in here. What the F? Very, very inappropriate. I'll leave you this time. But wrong woman, wrong house. So I don't know how you meant that, but I don't take too kindly to that. I'm not that one. Don't ever mistake my kindness for my weakness. Not the one. Michael James. So if you really want to know what we were talking about, listen to the playback and you'll get it. It'll either be resonating with you or it won't.
Wow.
Anyway, what were you saying?
No, said it. But no, but you just made the point that if you trust in yourself, chances are you will. You're just looking for disappointment. But if
Mhm.
you trust in the universe or whomever you deem. No, I'm just going to say what I believe. If you trust in the universe, if you trust in spirit, you'll always be provided for and you don't have to live in fear. Now you do have to use discernment like you said, and you have to listen when when you're given when and inside. Inside there's just something that moves you to either do or not do.
That's the thing right there, knowing that, what, with all the shifts of change that are going,
Mm.
you gotta know how to
Yeah.
move.
Right.
We're not moving the same way that,
Right.
uh, we would have yesterday. And when I
Mm.
talk about a lot of those changes, what there are a lot of laws and different things that are in place right now. So you might want to watch how you move so that
Yeah.
you know what you don't become subject of you know
Yeah.
any type of persecution that might be coming from the
Yeah, the Willy Wonka.
yeah,
Willy Wonka is what I say. Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You know how to move. And once again, that discernment, I think that there's a requirement to know your people.
Mm.
You got to know your people that, what, not everyone is, um, we say, not everyone's woke. And,
Right.
and here's the
Mhm.
deal, not everyone is going to wake up, not in
Mm.
this lifetime.
No.
And, um, and that also that there are folk that are waking up on different levels. My whole
Mhm.
point is it'll be through your discernment.
Mm.
That's why one has to really continue to work on the self and
Yeah.
keeping yourself
Yeah.
centered and grounded. That will help you use your discernment much better when it comes
Right.
to navigating people.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm
And you
sorry
got
you.
to remember this. A lot of people like the way things are. They don't
Mhm.
want things to change. And I
No,
I see I see that also too. They you know what? They're not affected. Everything is good with them. So they want everything to stay the same. They want to be dependent on the government. They want to be dependent on religion. They want to be dependent on everything from the outside. They don't want to do, you know what? Things are good with me. You know what? I got my home. I got my I got food in the fridge. But they don't think about everybody else that doesn't have that. And especially where I live, and there is a significant amount of homelessness. Like, and it breaks my heart. And I'll tell you, because I look and I see people. Not everybody wants to be homeless. Not everybody is homeless because they're drug addicts. Not everybody is homeless because they have an addiction of sort. There are some people that are homeless.
that's an
So
area right there that
yeah,
is, we were talking about division. That's an
yeah,
area right there
yeah,
that has been split in our
yeah.
communities. And the fact is
Yeah.
there's just as you said, not everyone is an addict. And not not everyone has the same story on why they are on the
Mm.
street.
And you
What
got
we
to read
need
that
to
comment.
do-
Sorry.
the world needs lessons of the hermit. Hello, lessons of the hermit. Nice to see you back here this week. Nice to see you. Let me go back and just read the comments back here. So do you guys see there's one person watching your stream, and that's me. If I have, then you have no one. You should just FaceTime. Oh, come on. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. We didn't do this for you. And you know what? Keep yourself moving because the fact that you know what you had to take the time and say that, that says more about you. Obviously, you who's setting up in here watching, come on, that's not what this is about. Anyways, you
You
are a
know,
distraction. So you know what I can tell you right now. Maybe I need to get me
Ahmad.
a moderator. Hmm. Lessons of the hermit. The world needs leadership. The leadership we have now is too focused on personal gain. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and I think that, you know what? Leadership, absolutely. We need to look at what that's going to look like in the future. And also leading ourselves. We give so much of our power away. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that we don't think about. But we give our power away the
Yeah.
moment we, oh, my goodness, we start giving it away to somebody else. Whether it's within our thought process or whether it's within our actions, and you don't get a chance to even think about, damn, the leader that
Mm.
might be in you. Because when I see
Right.
all this leadership that is going on here, I'm sure out of the peoples who have been experiencing this, I'm sure we could come
Mm.
to some place of where we could find
Yeah.
leaders, good
Yeah.
leaders, but we're going to find them from our communities. They won't be handpicked, you
Mm.
know? And if we start looking at things from that standpoint, where we start taking our power back and back
Mm.
and start building from a community standpoint, you guys like chicken. Okay, listen.
It's
Mm-mm. Remove.
it's
Yeah, no,
oh,
seriously.
you know
Because,
how to do that?
yeah, like, you know what? He's an idiot. He's an idiot. Ain't got nothing else to do.
I told you, when you start talking about consciousness and the things that are happening,
Mm-hmm.
people don't want, people like that don't want you to be talking about that because they don't want solutions. They like the chaos. They want people to live in the chaos because that's the energy that they're building off of. They're sucking those people's energies dry. So they can't suck your energy and they can't suck my energy because you know why? Because we're not giving it to them. We're not all up in a state of, we came on here thinking, oh my God, the world is ending. And remember when they said that the world was going to end? I think it was last month, and I'm not really sure the date. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we're still here. We're still here because we're working through shit. Nobody knows when what is going to happen. They
And I
can
just
come up.
want to say that that all came through via following a man.
Right.
A man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or, you know what? It's crazy. And I don't mean
Hmm.
just a man. I mean man as in mankind. You know
Right,
what?
man.
Just
Right.
follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Who is your leader? Who
Yeah.
is your leader? And have you really learned to lead yourself?
Right.
We
Right.
need to learn to lead ourselves.
Right.
Maybe
But
we will be able to pick a better leader.
you and Ravneet had different discussions on that very thing, and it's true. We give away a lot, and I'm not going to say we because I choose not to anymore. But a lot of people give away their power because they don't trust their own self. They think that maybe, well, that person's smarter, or I don't have the education that that person has. But it's not about education because we know education is all about programming anyway. We all have been given abilities. We just need to trust our own abilities.
Well, we've been programmed not to tap into them.
Mm,
That's why, everything is, it's about indoctrination. You
yeah,
go to school to be indoctrinated,
yeah,
to not
yeah.
not bring out of you what
Mm, mm,
is inside you, but
mm,
to actually put stuff in you, put a programming inside
yeah,
you. And then, we have it programmed now that, you know what, you also go on to university and we do the
yeah,
same, a form of programming. But we
yeah.
know what it is. That's to keep the negative.
And it's all about keeping the system going. Like that's related to that. What we're taught, the bells that are in the schools and the universities are the same bells they use when you go to work and everything. But nobody connects that, or I shouldn't say nobody, but very few people connect that it's all connected. So you can
That
be the most on the wheel.
that's the importance of conversations like this evening. Um,
Mm,
whoever it was that I just left the conversation and didn't think that this conversation was
mm,
necessary. You have these conversations so that you can start the thinking process. Maybe throughout this conversation and each conversation that is had, you know what? People do begin to think and they do realize why. Is there another
mm.
comment?
No, I just was laughing at, well, someone said about leadership, and a lot of people um, are horrible at leadership, and then others are they're jealous and their ability to about intelligence. But I was looking at Elliot, who said, "Would you rather watch a tree grow or a knee grow? A knee, like a knee." I'm hoping he meant knee as in on your knees grow. I I don't know.
I don't know. What do you mean by that, Elliot? What do you mean by that? Anyways, I don't know what you mean by that. So
Mm, mm,
I in reference to the conversation, I don't get how it fits, but if you want to chat back and let us know what that means, hey,
mm,
by all means. But in losing my point, that
mm. Yeah,
with all the once again distractions, it's distractions like that too that you know uh,
yeah, yeah.
can take you off your game. And that
Mm,
which brings me to a point about people and navigating people, because you still do have to live.
yeah,
You're working and you're going out and about, and
yeah,
friendships that you may still have that are
mm,
in place, because you still have to live throughout this whole
yeah,
process.
yeah,
Some of us might be finding ourselves in solitude more, but nonetheless you still have to navigate people, but it's not letting their stuff also get you distracted,
right.
their fears, their views, their stuff.
Mm,
Just knowing, once again,
mhm.
that discernment
Yeah, yeah.
when dealing with others.
And we all look at things differently. Like I'll tell you. Yes, I realize if we didn't have an organization that put things into place, and I'm talking either from a social stand, a legal stance, or
Mhm.
medical stance, or whatever, there would be a little form of chaos. So I appreciate we need all of this. However, what I don't appreciate is when they start impeding on our personal, like that has nothing to do with, like in a, I come to the river, and you know this almost every day, and I see people like even now they're out there fishing,
Mhm.
and just fishing,
Mhm.
and nobody's eating anything from this Detroit River. I would, you know what? I I would be afraid of anyway. I'm getting sidetracked. But why is it now that the commissionaires and all of these people now have to come and tell people, let me see your license, let me see your license, because most people here are just doing it to ground or just to woosah or just to get away from the daily burdens or whatever. Like, is there no place you can go now to just cast your line and enjoy, just some solitude?
And a measure of control too.
Mhm.
That's a
That's
measure of
what it
control
is.
being exercised
Yeah.
there
Hmm. Yeah.
in your city area, like how
Yeah.
they're doing with the parks in terms of,
Yeah.
what not only what you can do in the park, but also how long you can be at the park, depending on
Right.
where you're at, and all these rules that are coming into place.
Yeah.
Control,
Yeah.
control. And
Exactly.
oh,
Mm,
that's the craziness.
mm.
And it's happening on a rapid. It's
Yeah.
rapidly happening, depending on where you're at and depending on uh, yeah, like I said about the area that you're at. More in the city, I think that, but
Yeah.
also recognize, what your rights that are happening in your little small country areas, like
Yeah.
might seem like they're insignificant, but
Mm.
actually it's a form of control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some.
It is. It is.
Pardon me.
I said you're right, it is.
Mm. So, uh, it's these things I think that we have to be aware of because some of these things aren't, you can see where uh, they have stretched their boundaries. And I'm just
Mm,
thinking of the municipality and one of the bylaws that they voted in uh, within my area, being able to come in on your property. And there's certain things that they are able to have jurisdiction over,
mm,
when it comes to your
mm.
property, where they were not able to previously. But that's just something that they initiated not that very
Yeah.
long ago, and most folk did not, weren't even aware that it was happening.
Mm. No.
So those are things that I'm saying that we need to challenge those
Yeah.
we need to
Yeah.
challenge those kinds of things.
Yeah. And also, it's because you're right. We need to challenge, but we can't get caught up in the because they think they have the power to do that. But whenever you notice, whenever they go to try and hoodwink somebody, or it was when they were like trying to amalgamate Napa's role with Lakil, that so that it all be one, so that way we fall under their same. That was challenged because that didn't go through, did it?
They
Because
didn't.
Lakil,
They were not successful with that
mm,
one, um,
yeah,
because there was enough
resistance,
old-timers.
yeah, yeah,
I even say enough old-timers. I think there's a new pot of people here
yeah,
today that get it.
yeah,
The reason why
right,
people to the certain areas and nobody wants the same
right,
conditions that are existing in the town of Annapolis to be
right,
happening out here in terms of being regulated up the butt in terms of what it
right,
is you can do,
exactly, yeah. And
what
you
it is you can
also,
put on your lawn, or what color your house can be, and all these
right,
stupid
right.
things.
And here's the other thing too, because when you asked me earlier, you said, "Well, how am I viewing the change, and what do I see?" And you and I were talking about this before. I also see young people are not buying into the BS.
They are
Oh my
not.
goodness! Like here, young people are like, no, because it was like, get your degree, get a job, and stay at the job. There's no 30-year jobs anymore. There's no 30-year mortgages that people can afford. You know what? So young people are saying no. And so you see all kinds of young people in particular deciding differently. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
Because here's the deal. We often say, I want change. We
Mm,
need change. We need change. Well, change is being birthed, and it's something that's happening from we are living in the time of great change, whether we
yeah.
want it to happen or not, which
Yeah.
means things are going to fall. So here's what I'm going to tell you, everyone: stop putting into a system that is falling. Stop
Right.
into a system that's falling. And when you see the things that trying to hold that system, it's meant to fall. It's meant to fall for a
Right.
reason.
Right.
And when we think of, and yes, it is going to leave us in a hairy place, but that's where the rebuild comes in. That's where, you know what,
Mm,
you find your new thought process on
yeah.
how we are going to move forward, how we're going to deal with this one and moving forward. And maybe
Mm,
one is we need a new group of people, because the
yeah.
people that are in these systems, whether it's the medical, whether it's
Mm,
your government, they're corrupt.
yes.
For the good guy that is in there, you know what I'm going to tell you? He gets swallowed up by so much of the corruption,
Mhm.
and that's the medical. So some of these
Yeah.
gangsters have to be removed, because really, that's
Yeah.
what they're acting like, gangsters
Yeah.
at this. Mhm.
Absolutely.
They're not asking, they're telling, they're cutting, they're
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah.
and they're telling you what to do. So
Right.
that's something that
Right.
needs to change. And some of the deals that have been made, um, I don't want to get into all of that, but the thing
Mm.
of it is that we have to recognize that we do have a power
Mm.
inside us.
Yeah.
And you have to find
And
your
we
way.
also have to recognize this because you made a very valid point. That this system is meant to change, and we need a makeover.
Absolutely.
And so, in saying all that, we're not supposed to just sit back and do this, cross our hands, and say, "Well, I'll just see where it lies," because
Right,
we are all going to have to take an active part in rebuilding this system. And in
right,
particular, I'm going to just say it flat out. Okay, we have been ruled by a patriarchal system for
right.
how many centuries? And where did it get us? It's just the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. And you know what? It used to be such a thing as a middle class, a lower, but please, there's only two kinds of classes now, rich or poor.
Mm,
And we, and I'm sorry, we need to go back to the way things were. We need to go back to this matriarchal rule where, where, you know what? Where there's a fairness that we haven't seen in forever.
well, once again, what most folk don't realize is that that's where we're going, whether what
Mm.
we want to or not. But you know what? We are, once again, if you know what you know about the planets, we are no
Yeah.
longer in the age of Pisces. We are
No.
age of Aquarius. And
Aquarius.
the division is very, very real because
Yeah.
not everyone is wanting the change that is necessary, and
Mm.
or not everyone agrees with how we go about that change. So
Right.
that is what's also creating
Right.
the big
Yeah.
division. So
Yeah.
a real importance to remain grounded, because as things intensify, and I know that they will, um,
Mhm.
it'll be, how am I making it through this? And
Right.
you and I both know how deep this goes. But
Yes.
when you know that it's about the harnessing of your energy, and they're
Mhm.
trying to harness everyone's energy. That's the reason why they're creating all the chaos and they're creating all
Yeah.
the division, and they
Yeah.
want people more like in a warlike stance.
Mhm.
Therefore, the more the importance of grounding yourself, not and knowing, not getting caught up in the sauce of
Yeah.
everything that they are
Yeah.
throwing at you at this
Right.
particular point. So,
And that, because I was looking at a comment that I seen earlier when it said racism is a form of harassment, and it's true. But if we go down that rabbit hole, we'll just be hating on each other. And to me, that causes division. I'm very well aware of racism, and I know, and I've seen it. I've been dealt it. But what I will not do is hate people. I will not do that. I will not hate individuals.
what we are seeing, which this takes me to a place right now, because when you think about what's going on with immigration and the mass
Mm,
of immigration that's taking place here in just Canada
mm,
alone, and
yeah.
also, I'm not even going to say the United States, because the United States is doing one thing. They're emptying out.
Yeah.
Canada is pouring them in. And it is creating a condition here in good old Canada. And more in particular, they are pouring in brown skinned
Hmm.
people. Now,
Yeah.
there's a reason why I say this, folk, because they're creating an environment. They're like stirring up the soup with every time they do this. They did the same exact thing when, you know what? They took the organic people of the land
Mm,
and they
mm,
started doing in mass immigration and started
yeah.
to create climate and started
Mhm.
putting laws and different things into
Yeah.
place. So we ain't got but to go back
Right. That
to
part.
see what we are reliving right now.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
in order to not get caught up into the sauce. Let's just see. This is something that's being orchestrated.
And I want to add that because what you said, and before we move on to another
Mhm,
thought, it's like you said, the same thing. We, the organic people, were here. We were here. We
mhm,
were strong. So what did they
mhm,
do? They
mhm,
immigrated in from Europe, from
mhm,
Europe, and
mhm,
from Spanish, and they brought in all those ones and started calling them uh, native to the land. So they
mhm.
now, and I say this because if they did
Which
that
is
then,
one of the topics of division. My
right,
which is one of
right.
the topics
So
of division.
if they did that then, what do you think they're not going to try and do that now? There's a reason why they're bringing in all these different individuals. Are we going to start calling them native to the land maybe in 20 or 30 years? No, think about it. But you know what I truly believe? That the great divine is not going to allow that. That division that they used back then, that's what they're trying to repeat history, is basically what
I
they're trying to
don't.
do.
I don't know exactly why. I definitely know that they are trying to assimilate things
Mm-hmm.
again. They're trying to keep us in
Exactly.
a loop of some kind.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's about your harnessing of your energies and get you
Right.
into an
Right.
emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
We must be aware also what when you tell one lie, you have to
Mm.
tell many other lies.
Right.
And so what we
Right.
are seeing at this time also happen, which is creating some division because some people want to remain
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Exactly.
cognitive dissident,
Mm-hmm.
see it, but they don't want to know the truth because it's going to mean that I might have to change not only how I think, but
Right.
about
Right.
how I think about many things. My own
Right.
thing is that this is not by chance. So much of what's happening is by design, in
Yeah.
that, you know, folk, use your discernment, think,
Mm-hmm.
think, and don't
Mm.
believe everything that is in front of you. But
Right on.
it is also time to do a little bit of research. You need to
Yeah.
start researching because you know what? You may have married the lie. You
Yeah.
you know what? You were birthed into the lie, and you're supporting the lie to the end. So you
Because
can
you're benefiting from the lie too.
and many are benefiting from the lie, but it's not going to stop the truth because truth seeks
Mm.
power, and that's what
Mm.
will happen. And how are you going to handle it? Don't
Mm.
lose your human consciousness and love.
Yeah.
Don't lose your love factor because
Right.
that's another thing that they are trying to create in terms of that division
Yeah.
and pitting people off against one another, and you don't have no understanding. So it's a time to raise our awareness and know whether we want to believe it or not. We are all connected. We are
Right.
all connected, and
Yeah.
that's just like my picture that I used or my thumbnail. We are all connected.
Yeah.
We are all connected. So, without further ado, I am not going to carry this conversation unless you had something more that you wanted to say.
Not at all. I
Mhm.
mean, to those listening, they might not have seen the benefit, but I can tell you this: I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
I did
Thoroughly.
too. Just hold on one moment, please, because I got to go let my cat out.
Okay. Yeah. No, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation because, and it's true, because I am the type that I like love in life, and I like positivity, but sometimes you gotta talk about the real, and this is the real. It's the time that it's the time we're living in.
It is the time we're living in, and it's also time to continue to have conversations.
Yes.
If you can have conversations, if you can take one thing from this tonight's conversation, and it can help you, that's a good thing. Maybe,
Mm.
tonight's conversation help start a conversation inside your circle of some.
Right,
Maybe we tapped
right.
into something that you were thinking about. It's also a way to let off the steam and come out of your head and have you less in a reactive mode. So that's what these conversations help.
And I want to state this: lessons of the hermit. You are completely, absolutely, 100% right. The
Mm,
real change comes from the uncomfortable conversations. Absolutely,
absolutely.
absolutely, 100%.
And it is time. And I'm so grateful for you, Lessons of the Hermit, because
Mm,
I like your angle that you always come and share from, because it is, you always leave us with something to think about and something that we can take home. You are
mhm.
appreciated. I gotta tell you that, my
Yeah,
friend, and thank you. But so true. In hurt people, and we
yeah,
have a lot of hurt people out there. A lot of
yeah,
healed people, and a lot
yeah.
of people that are not healed emotionally. So you know
Mm,
what, they're coming from a place of unhealed emotions and making
mm.
decisions from that standpoint, and that is not by chance either, because we
No,
don't in an arena that promotes the healing. So you really have to grab a hold of your own healing
yeah.
and accountable for self.
Mm, mhm. Absolutely, absolutely.
Without further ado, I want to thank everyone that did show up this evening and participated in tonight's conversation. Even the little distractors, you are appreciated. That lets us know that you know what, you do exist. So
Yeah,
thank you.
mhm.
But if you
I
haven't
agree with you.
already, hit the like button. If you're watching the playback, share this conversation with someone. It's certainly someone that you think that could benefit from this conversation, or you know what, it's certainly one to help with the algorithm when you do share it.
Mm,
And subscribe if you already haven't. I want to thank you, Real Freedom Forever, my sister Susie, for
mm,
showing up on such a short notice and
mm.
having a great, powerful conversation.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thanks. Appreciate it.
You are welcome. So, bye,
And
everyone.
bye. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye.